Hello and welcome to Vocals in the Key of D. Today we're going to have a little bit of fun with this little guy over here. We're going to talk about mic technique. Okay, so as I spoke about earlier, we're going to talk a little bit around mic technique. So obviously when you are on stage in a big auditorium or something, you probably will use one of these in your lifetime if you're a singer. If you don't, well then I'm not quite sure if you're a singer or performer. You might just be, one of those that sing in your house. So you'll definitely use one of these. This is a microphone. So a microphone amplifies your voice, makes sure that everyone from front to back can hear you nicely on big monitors, etc. So it's really important to know how to use one of these, right? And I know it's not just that simple, guys. You don't just stick it there and sing, because there are certain techniques that you need to allow for it not to do certain things, and that's what we're going to talk about. So the first one is make sure that you never drop your mic to the floor like this. Wait. Kind of like that, because obviously you'll hear it'll feedback, especially if you have monitors on stage, which sometimes they do in bigger buildings. They put monitors on stage. If you're lucky enough, you'll have in-ear monitors that you can actually listen to yourself in, but the monitors are specifically there so that you can hear yourself. So make sure you never drop the mic to the floor where it's facing the monitors or another speaker. The next thing that you should never do, which you'll see a lot of rappers perhaps do, just to give sort of an effect to the vocal that they're busy, especially when rapping. I know it's for effect, but as a singer, never ever do this. It actually stops the really good sound that comes from the mic, and you kind of will sound muffled and in a little box. So it's really important not to ever hold the mic here or hold the mic like this. This can also cause feedback. So if you put your hand around the mic, so I know some people like to do this. We'll just leave that to the rappers and not the singers. The correct way to hold a mic is actually just in the middle, just where it is, just like that, okay? Some people like to hold it like that. For me, I don't feel comfortable because it's just not steady. Holding it just in the middle, under the silver microphone, and that should give you quite a nice stance so that you can actually sing. See? Okay, so when holding the mic like this is all good and well, but you need to also make sure that you actually have a good distance between yourself and the mic. So some people do what we call kissing the mic, so it's like right up here. And I suppose for really low vocals, you can do that. When you're quite a loud vocalist or a vocalist that actually has been in the trade for quite a long time, you'll probably find you need to actually have a little bit of spacing between you and the mic. Now, for me, I normally make sure that it's 2 fingertips or fingers apart like that. So that's possibly the best way that you're going to sing. Okay, you don't want to sit like this because if you're a loud vocalist, that can cause a problem. So sort of just 2 finger spaces apart, and you also cannot sing like this. Okay, we'll get into singing like that, pulling away from the mic, but when you're generally singing, you're going, Jesus, you are holy, Lord. So that's your standard singing voice. That's your relaxed singing voice. 2 fingers apart, and you should be good. The other thing not to do is make sure that you actually sing into the mic. Sometimes, depending on the actual type of mic that you're using, so a mic like this, you'd probably be able to get away with singing sort of like that, or even like that. Some people say you should rather sing to the side so that people can actually see your mouth when you sing. But if you have a different mic, that may not work. So it's always advisable to try and sing into the actual top of the mic like that, so that when you are singing, your full sound is coming through. With some mics, if you sing tilted to the side, any of the side here, then you'll probably find that your vocal will not come through, and they'll have to lift you up, and that could cause feedback. So you want to make sure that you're as loud as possible, sing into the mic, 2 finger spaces apart from the mic, and that is your comfortable position. Okay, so now we're going to get into how you actually use the mic when you sing. So, you get your comfortable position when you're going, Jesus, you are holy. Okay, so that's my comfortable position. But when it comes to high notes, now you're going to do a crescendo and you're going to go really loud. You have to have mic technique, and you have to understand and be able to listen to yourself on the main house to be able to establish how far you should actually go. So if it is a really good quality mic, you'll be able to do that. But for instance, if you're going, Jesus, you are holy. Can you see how I'm going more and more away from the mic because my voice is getting more and more louder? So it should be that the mic would be able to pick up the higher, louder notes at a much further distance. Whereas if I'm singing into the mic here, holy, you'll hear feedback all around and everyone's going to go, and it might not be nice to the ears. So just remember, when you're singing your mic technique, Jesus, you are holy, Lord. That's your standard way that you would sing, 2 fingers spaces apart. But if you're doing a high note, Jesus, you are holy, and then you can bring it back. Just make sure you don't forget to bring it back. That's why it's important to practice with the mic, so that you would be a little bit more conscious. I don't know why I'm speaking into the mic. You'll be a little bit more conscious of when you're doing high notes. Pull away from the high notes. Pull away from the high notes. Okay, make sure that you do that at all times. You don't want to disturb the nice note. Okay, so we hope that you learned something from this today. Make sure that you go home and you don't necessarily have to use an actual mic, unless you do have a sound system that you can use. But this vocal tutorial was specifically for any live vocals. Obviously, singing in a studio atmosphere, it would be a little bit different because there is, for instance, a pop filter, as well as padding on walls for acoustic purposes, and we'll maybe carry that on in another tutorial. But it's just really important to be able to know and understand how to use a mic when you are singing. Make sure that you don't cover it at all with your hands. Make sure that you're comfortable with it. Practice with it. Make sure that when you're singing 2 finger spaces apart. And when you hit high notes, make sure that your dynamics is good by pulling away when you get really, really high, or coming just a little bit closer when you're going really low. And that is how you do your mic technique. I hope this has helped you today. We will see you soon next week on Vocals in the Key.
Gonna sing down under the water, underwater world. I'm gonna sing and I'm gonna